Previously on Blades of Mayari. After Batara's sacrifice, which got everyone safely on the island, our heroes were inundated by Marin Hig, the walking corpses of their fallen allies. Hiraya, being sensitive to the auras and energies of peoples and places, was overwhelmed by the malice that pervaded the island. They were temporarily instilled with a rabid bloodlust. If that wasn't enough, a cycloptic giant called a Bungis appeared from the jungle and appeared to dance an earth-shaking jig. Thankfully, a few unexpected friends came to the rescue. The boat that sailed you to the island is being shaken apart by the dance moves of a Bungis, a one-eyed, tusked, and, in this case, simple-minded giant. Planks burst, and the supplies that you had on the ship get tossed around. The Marin Hig, the zombies of the fallen warriors that attacked you when you arrived, they're being crushed by the debris. You look around and you can't find Bebot, the first mate of the ship, anywhere. And in the midst of the chaos, bursting from the forest's edge, is a 10-foot-tall horned warrior. They have pale white skin and look like they were stitched together by red tendrils, sprouting from a red jewel in their ear. It takes a second, but you recognize them. It's Kadar. He rushes into the giant and holds him down, stopping the dancing for a moment, then yells out to you all,
"What are you waiting for? An invitation? Get going!"
What do you all do?
Dog sees Kadar with relief and shock, and he says, "Kadar, you beautiful bastard, thank you!" And he looks to Batara, who is in a bad way, and he lifts up, takes one of Batara's arms over his shoulder, and I don't know if I need a skill check for this. If Batara is too heavy, Dog's gonna try to lift him out of that, or off the boat. Is that something that Dog can do?
Yeah, so the boat is at an elevation, about a story tall, or maybe half a story tall, so you'll have to jump down into the sand holding a Umalagad who's much bigger than you are. So I think an athletics here is very reasonable to try and get him up and then to land without breaking your legs, essentially.
Okay. I will attempt to do that.
You also have some navigation tools at your disposal that could potentially help here.
Navigation tools?
Dog, you have a stunt, right, to navigate with your spear.
Yeah, I was just about to. So Dog has a stunt called Harpoon Traversal, which gives me a +2 to athletics when traversing difficult terrain. I'm going to tie Batara's waist with my ship rope and try to use my harpoon rope, maybe to kind of like launch him or lift him off of the boat.
You're gonna throw. Okay, so you've tied the rope around his waist.
I've tied the rope around his waist, and I'm gonna throw the harpoon
to try and get him off of the ship.
Off of the ship, yes.
Got it.
Actually, okay, wait here. Okay, this is just crazy ideas, guys. We're full of crazy ideas.
Good, crazy ideas are good.
All right, so I'm gonna tie Batara and I am a former sea raider. I'm not invoking the aspect, but just to speak to my not tying ability. So I'm going to tie Batara with my ship rope, and I'm actually going to throw my harpoon at the bungisngis, and try to like pierce flesh in an attempt to maybe like, I don't know, their movement can jostle Batara in that direction.
Love it. That's risky. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Give me a. It sounds like an overcome. Like you're not necessarily attacking the bungisngis. Your end intention is to use that movement.
Yeah.
So tying the waist is a-okay.
Okay.
Trying to hit a held down target that's quite large, definitely easier. Otherwise, it would have been quite difficult. So I think this is a great. So roll me some dice, and it needs to beat a 4.
All right. I'm gonna go with a shoot roll.
Yes, sounds good.
Harpoon throw.
Mm-hmm.
Where is my? Sorry. I rolled a 4, which is a great.
Amazing. So that is a tie. So you can succeed at a minor cost here.
Oh, I love to succeed at minor costs. So let's do
you
that.
have any fate points left?
No, I've got 0.
Okay. I'm going to compel an aspect of yours. So since it's a tie, let's say it succeeds, but you hit Kadar instead.
I love that. Okay.
So I'm compelling your trouble of I never make mistakes.
Okay, great. So Dog finishes tying Batara with his ship rope, takes one look at that bungisngis, smiles at Aether next to him with a little bit of a nod, and hurls his harpoon, aiming straight for the bungisngis' like singular eye, and let's say a beautiful providential gust of the slightest breeze just like catches my harpoon, and I hit Kadar maybe right in the shoulder or something.
You hit Kadar right in the shoulder. Yeah,
I'm so sorry. He goes, I'm so sorry.
What the heck, bro?
As he's trying to hold down.
Aether's face is just like, ooh.
It's like it's a perfectly placed hit. Thankfully, it's not impeding any of the. It didn't hit his rotator cuff. He's able to still move it around, but it's in there. And as he like recoils back at the bungisngis, pushes back against Kadar, Batara gets hurled off of the ship and into the sand, and is now being dragged along like one of those dog toys on a string like, that a kid pulls around in a playground. Yeah, because of these two giants essentially waving around. But he's off the ship.
Nice. And then a Dog turns to Aether and says, well, what are you waiting for? Let's follow him. And he's going to take off after Batara's body.
Okay. Aether, Hiraya, what are you doing?
Aether's a little dumbstruck right now after just witnessing this giant crocodile man get hurled off a ship. What is it looking right now? Like, is Robinson still stuck in that net?
If you like run towards him and pick him up, that's easy because he's the Marinhig that were around him are crushed by the debris. He's just kind of caught like a fish in a net.
Hiraya, are you still mad at me? Glances over to the side.
Just over the table, I think that I'm still in that. Also, we never resolved that, so I'm still kind of in that state.
Mm-hmm. You're still in that phase. Yeah.
That's why I didn't even bother. I'm going.
You're like, peace out. Peace out, A-Town. Hit me up when you're chill again.
That'll resolve itself.
Yeah, Hiraya, the target of your attention has now gone off the ship. And you do still have some fate points, so
yep.
There are mechanisms to kind of get out of this stupor, so to speak.
Hiraya just snarls at Aether. Still very struggling, very apparent in struggling against the influence of their Aswang state. But I want to create an advantage, so I'm going to spend a fate point. Money, money, money. Money. Yeah. And we are going to actually create an advantage here. I want to use Conflicted Guardian of a Curse because this is interesting. We're still in an Aswang state because we're not. But the conflict here is Hiraya feels deep empathy and still like that. Batara is their homie. Aether and Dog, those are their homies. So
Totally.
they're going to be partially like in control because of their high empathy, because of the curse, but just enough where they can follow along from a distance.
Yes, that sounds great. It sounds like not creating an advantage, but rather defining a story detail.
Okay.
So you are creating a new thing that's related to your aspects and changing the narrative that in a way that makes sense to your character. Adding a story detail is absolutely something you can do with the fate points, and it happens just as you described.
Okay, perfect. So goodbye, fate point. Till we meet again.
Mm-hmm.
Since we're talking about fate and the game mechanics,
Yeah.
just to be clear, Ross, when you compelled my trouble, I've earned back a fate point.
Yes, correct.
Hooray.
Hooray, hooray.
Love it.
Now you have money, money, money.
I do, yeah.
All right, so Aether, you can see that Hiraya is starting to gain some semblance of focus and control back.
Yeah, he just looks at her calmly and goes, I promise you can smack me later, but we need to get out of the ship. And he carefully and slowly trusts her by turning away, and he books it after Dog, and hopefully tries to grab Robinson on the way off this ship.
As you like run past him, he like coils up and jumps straight up in the air, and you just kind of grab him like a staff, like Gandalf grabs a staff out of the door. You're just like, this is known territory for you two, so you're able to grab Robinson and jump off of the ship.
You and I are gonna have a talk later. And he goes after Dog.
What did I do? I didn't do anything. Dog has jumped off, and you're on your way towards Kadar. And then Hiraya, what are you doing?
From a distance behind the 2, 3, 4. Because we're counting Batara's body that's just getting slung around. Just like a limp yo-yo, you know, like when a kid does a yo-yo thing and doesn't know how to.
Yeah, it's like
they swing it, but they don't call the yo-yo back. Hiraya's following along, but at a distance. So I want to say like 10 feet.
One of the things I love about Fate is I don't think we have to be like very specific about space or spacing and stuff. So yeah, I think like a ways away where you're close enough to keep up with them, but far enough where you can give them and yourself some space.
Activating space needed.
Yeah. a bubble appears around you. No, that sounds good.
Yeah, just like like an anime, like a little dark cloud is just around them.
Yeah.
They're just like kind of slunking around, just being like a little moody about what just happened and just like, this stinks, man.
Yeah. You're just like
I'm
kicking
hungry,
the set.
I'm upset. My friends hate me.
Yeah, you're feeling it all. Kadar sees that everyone's off of the ship and kind of reels Batara up and holds him, and you just see kind of how small Batara is compared to Kadar, and he puts him on his shoulder. And as the 6 of you, including Robinson, contemplate what to do and how to deal with this bungis that is starting to move. You know, when kids are playing and they start to slowly move away from I'm having fun to I'm getting angry, that's kind of the meter that you can see changing in front of you. As this bungis slows down and is not doing a happy dance anymore, but rather starts to stand to their full height, which is towering over all of you as well as Kadar. You hear wings flapping behind you, and you see this large bird with red webbed feet it's Captain Samoy. You see this this bird that's the size of half of the ship swoop down at the Boogie and start pecking at it. It starts like doing the things that birds do that I hate. That like they get in your hair and they piss you off. That starts to happen, and it gives Kadar and all of you this window of escape. The Boogie turns around and starts to wrestle this giant mutated bird. You see the tendrils that were sprouting out of Captain Samoy's feet, completely covering him at this point, or them at this point. And they seem kind of in control. They look at all of you as if begging you to get out of here as it starts to peck and bite at the giant. Kadar looks at all of you and says, "All right, let's go." He turns around and books it into the forest.
We won't forget you, Captain Samoy. And Dog turns and follows, goes after Kadar.
As you say that and you're running, you turn back and you say that, you see the Bungiskis just pile drive the bird into the sand. And then this explosion of sand appears behind you.
You're blocking his face from the sand, and he's just like, what is happening here?
Hiraya still in that Aswang state, but looking back, feeling really conflicted seeing that two of these creatures are fighting. Like, is that really necessary?
You can definitely feel that there isn't malice here. I should actually rephrase that. The fundamental emotion that's here is not malice, but it seems like something is pulling them towards that. Like something is...
Mm-hmm.
This like insipid feeling of anger is weaving its way into the Bungiskis' desire to have fun and to connect with people and to dance, and Captain Samoy's desire to protect and to defend and to be a good captain. The six of you are running through the forest, and it is thick. This jungle has a few aspects that are persistent. There are pools of light and shadow as one aspect, and another aspect is that it is oppressively humid. So as you run, you're getting sweaty immediately. And this jungle doesn't have any paths in it, so you're getting hit by fronds and ferns and plant life and tripping over these roiling roots that scattered across the jungle floor. As you're running and following Kadar, he, without looking back, he says, "All right, this is gonna be a wild thing to ask, but you gotta trust me, all right?" And without waiting for an answer, you see him just kind of running, and then fall straight down. You don't see a cliff edge. You just kind of just see forest and the rest of it kind of continue forward. But Kadar is running, and then suddenly, whoop!
I'm like, I feel like I started running after him first, so I'd be the closest one behind. Do I see the point in the forest where he fell or disappeared?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you have a moment to make a decision, but you see a harsh cliff face appear just kind of like a meter or two right in front of you. And it seems like Kadar just fell straight down.
Okay. Dog, ever the one for an adventure, is going to just harpoon in hand, gives it a gentle kiss, rests it against his lower back, and just follows suit and jumps right off the cliff's edge.
Aether and Hiraya, you can see this kind of strange situation. The ground seems to swallow up first Kadar and now Dog, who... How do you jump? Do you do like the whole Wile E. Coyote pretend to run for a bit and then fall straight down? Or do you like Geronimo into it?
Dog has that sweet, tender kiss moment with his harpoon, puts it at his back, and I think he does his like best Olympic diver dive, like head first, just, or like Captain Jack Sparrow off of the Black Pearl. I don't know if that ever happened in the films, but
sure,
just like straight off, as if diving into water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a Philippine diver, but if you know the Filipino diver,
Oh, like the belly flop guy?
yeah.
Yeah, that works
So not
too.
like that,
Not like that. Not like that. Okay.
Big shout out to the Filipino diving team, though.
Hey, they're amazing.
You do us
It's
proud.
just
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
It'll be hard to live down.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. Everyone knows. But anyways,
Yeah.
so dog dives kind of head first as if diving into water.
It sounds good. Sounds good. Cool. So that's what you see. You see dog collect himself and then dive into the ground, it looks like, and disappears.
Is that like something that Aether catches? Like he gears up and jumps off?
Yes. You're kind of like running and you see dog kind of do this, and then he jumps off, and now Aether has a meter or two before you hit the cliff's edge as well.
I think at this point he's seen way too many weird things in the last, like, however many minutes it's been since we've gotten on this island.
Yeah, just literally a few
Yeah,
minutes.
it's been like 15, 20 minutes probably. And he's just takes a sigh. If I'm not dead yet anyway, might as well just keep going. And he picks up his speed and just takes the leap of faith, Assassin's Creed style.
Nice. Love it.
What does Robinson do?
Robinson's trying to escape from you. Kuya, what are you? Don't jump! Kuya, what are you doing, Kuya?
Hiraya, being able to fly, doesn't even flinch at the idea of jumping off a cliff. It just does it with just a sense of grace and ease. And maybe the camera just kind of pans 360 around while there's like a glistening moment of
Matrix swan dive.
Heck yeah. You that absolutely happens. We see this like moment of serene control as the you get a better sense of exactly what happened. The land kind of just ends, and what made it confusing is that the trees in front of you, or kind of at the bottom of this cliffside, are massive. They are larger than trees that you've seen in your travels. They're larger than the ones that would. They're more reminiscent of the spirit of trees that Aether you would be familiar with, but they're here in very much in a corporeal form. They're massive, so it looks like they're just normal trees. The top ends look like normal trees, but they're gigantic. So we see Hiraya jump off of the cliff, and as the camera pans around, that kind of unbeknownst to you all, that wave of sand rushes out from behind them and spills over the cliff's edge as Hiraya, Aether, Robinson, and Dog dive into what looks like the top of a tree. You go in and you realize there's no water. You just see more trees below you, and you as you hit into the foliage, you get beat up by branches and trees that hit you on the way down. But underneath that is a large pool of water, deep and cold as you plummet down into its depths. Resurfacing, you see that there is a spring of some sort, a river that is coming out of the cliffside, and behind it there is what looks to be an entranceway. That's where Kadar is holding Batara, waiting for the four of you to resurface and waving you in to this passage.
Well, I'm just going to approach Kadar, wiping off some of the wet from my cloak. Kadar, what happened to you? How are you alive? How did you... We haven't seen you since the beach. We thought you were dead.
Kadar puts Batara down, and then he turns around and grabs you with one hand and pushes you up against the stone wall, and very firmly asks,
Who sent you? Who sent you to the island? Who asked you to be here? Truth, man, truth.
Whoa. Easy.
No, nah, truth.
Just a little lighter on the chest. You got big hands. Look, we were sent by the Datus. We were sent by Humabon. We're trying to figure out the meaning behind this mysterious island.
As you said, the Datus, his hand started to clamp around your chest. And then as you said, Humabon, he loosens and he lets go of you.
Look, it's a good mission. It's a good mission.
Kuya Bong sent you?
What?
Okay. Okay, cool. You're good.
What?
He grabs Batara and says,
All right, this way. There, I got a spot. Come on.
Athir, who is ready to fight, looks at Dog like, what the heck just happened?
Look, let's just follow him, and I'm sure we'll get our answers. So Dog just kind of shuts his mouth and follows.
We haven't gotten answers since we got here.
Hiraya, as you kind of approach this entryway, it's painful to enter here. There is something here that's like repulsive, but there's also another part of you that feels very comfortable here, that feels at home here. You also feel, as this exchange between Kadar and Dog is occurring, that Kadar is... that whole exchange was out of caution. Not out of anger, not out of there was no malicious intent. It was just caution. And those strings that is pulling his emotions into fervor, into anger, is weaker on Kadar than it was on the Bungisngis and Captain Samoy.
So the entrance of the... what exactly is it?
There's this passageway that's behind essentially a waterfall that's filling the pool of water that you jumped into. There's this passageway that goes deeper into the cliffside. As you even think about entering deeper into this cave, you feel both repulsed and very much at home and comfortable and safe.
Yes. The part of Hiraya that feels repulsed kind of makes her hesitate before proceeding. Like a slight shuffle, a slight pacing happens before deciding to go forward. Kind of like a dog that's overheated, or, smelling like it's almost like they smelled something so strong and so powerful that it just kind of hits you in the face. So they take a big exhale and just follow through, following along with Athir and Dog.
Yeah, it's like taking a public bus during a humid summer day. Like a really bad summer day.
Yeah.
And you're like, ugh.
Right. And you're like, there might be the one chair that's on that bus that's free better not be that chair.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you're like, oh man. Hello, Ross here. It's been a little bit since we grabbed a snack together. We've been kind of all over the place, but we're back now. Thanks for sticking around. Seriously, we're so grateful that you're here. Rather than doing a spotlight, let me take a second to talk about what's coming up for the show. We have a couple of episodes recorded and are in the process of being edited. We're also still discussing what the next step is for the story, but what we know for sure is that this arc is coming to an end fairly soon, which is really, really exciting. There's a lot more in store, so thank you again for journeying with us. We are infinitely grateful for you. All right, back to the show. You enter, and it's pitch black at first, but as you go further in, the dampness of the river or the dampness of the waterfall and the pond get further and further away. And along the cold and reflective stone walls, you see a flicker and shimmer of a fire, of a warmth of safety. You get led to a large cavern, large for you, but seemingly a perfect size for Kadar. There is a hole at the top of the cavern that seems like it was dug out by fingers, acting as ventilation into the space. As a large fire is burning in the center. It seems like a crudely made bowl or pot that was clawed out from a boulder sits on top of this fire, and it's bubbling something. That feeling of warmth, that sense of safety is emanating from this pot. It smells like sinigang. It smells of spice and of moments where the storm was really bad, but then the soup was served. You also see a kind of carved or crudely set up situation, a quote-unquote bed, some weaponry that seems to have been salvaged by Kadar, and he welcomes you and says,
All right, come in. Hey, I don't have chairs. Here.
And he goes by the fire and starts with one hand scoops out enough dirt to make a little seat right by the fire. There's some place to kind of settle in.
All right, so who's your medic? Who's your healer? Any herbalists? And who's the one that kind of deals with situations like this amongst you in your group?
Ear points to the giant crocodile man on the floor.
Cool. All right, no problem. Who's your redundancy? It's the one that knows like the field medicine, just in case your healer goes down.
I usually just wrap up my wounds in ship rope.
Okay, not you. How about you two?
Dog holds out his ship rope.
You're ready to go with the rope. And that explains all the ship rope around, wrapped around you at all times, and is holding it together. All right, he looks and sees.
All right, I'm okay. I'm gonna assume that you're a newly formed unit, so that I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay, cool. Yeah, cool. Snake boy, come over here and just hold the wound together.
Oh, okay. And he goes to do what he's told.
And then you, the other one, not ship rope guy, I need you to get some water from outside. And when you're there, maybe do a quick scout to see if we're being followed. Please.
Without a word, Hiraya just nods and slinks back out the way that they came in.
Amazing.
Ship rope guy, could you put your harpoon in the fire? Just get it nice and hot, please.
Can do. And dog just kind of almost football spikes his harpoon into the fire.
Cool. All of that is kind of gathered together. Hiraya, are you doing anything once you get out? Now you have a little bit of a moment to yourself.
A moment like this. Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, as Hiraya emerges from back the way they came in, outside of the cavern, they take a deep breath in, and while they're inhaling the air, kind of also always keeping their senses open, they start sniffing to kind of see if there's anything unusual around. And they also want to use their empathy, their feels, to get a little sense of the environment around them.
Yeah. Roll me an overcome with empathy. You're trying to get a sense of essentially who is around you, what's around you.
Oh God. 1 average.
Yeah, happy to do succeed with a major cost if you'd like, or we can just.
We love cost, so because we gonna spend money. So let's succeed at a major.
This doesn't give you.
I know it doesn't give me money.
This doesn't give you. Okay.
It's our metaphoric credit card right now, so let's rack up that bill.
Sounds good.
Because we gotta need to know what's happening. Yeah.
You feel a very familiar feeling. you get a general lay of the land in regards to these like emotional hotspots that are kind of unavoidable or very obvious. An overwhelming sense of malice is coming from the top of the mountain that's at the center of this island. It's suffocating if you focused on it too much. Around you it's kind of strange. It's both peaceful. There are animals here. There are creatures just living here as their ecosystem, peacefully kind of going about their day. And amongst them is a familiar feeling, Sigbin. They seem to be zeroing in on your location. These like motes of hunger and a desire to like tear and rip. These motes of emotion are moving towards you, towards your location.
Do we know how fast it is?
Yeah, they're pretty. It's pretty quick. The ones in the near vicinity are just kind of on the outside edge of the pool of water, and there are more coming. The unusual thing is that they're not crossing the water.
Interesting. So they're just, what's that word? Perimeter. They're just on the perimeter.
Not for a lack of trying, right? Like you feel, you don't really see them. They're deep in the jungle brush, but you feel these motes of emotion try and go towards the water, and then are repelled out of fear, out of like disgust. They're repulsed by something as they get close to the water, and they retreat.
Okay, so I'm assuming that's our major cost right now. We've got friends.
That's the major cost. The major cost is the monsters know you're here.
The unwanted party crashers. All right.
Yeah.
A million thoughts race through Hiraya's mind. The last time Hiraya had met Sigbin, it was a very different circumstance. In fact, became a little bit attached to one named Binny. Shout out Binny. But these were in fact not Binny. These were other Sigbin that Hiraya has not met before, and also was curious about that feeling of repulsion because of their initial feelings of hesitation on entering the area, entering the cavern.
Mm-hmm.
Once they gathered up the water quickly with... Over the table, we didn't even decide what I was going to gather the water with.
I imagine you would have gotten some sort of like bucket or
I've got something. Yeah,
to
some
get,
kind of urn.
Yeah, to get it.
Oh, what is that thing called? The banga?
Yeah, like a banga.
Is it a banga? Yeah. So basically like a terracotta urn.
Yeah.
Hiraya had taken one from the cavern and quickly collected water after assessing the environment and scurried back to the caravan. Once they were there, they kind of blurted out quickly, "They're here. The Sigbin are here."
This feeling of like worry and an obvious pallor kind of descends onto this cavern where you all are, and then Kadar says,
It's fine. they're not gonna cross the water, and if they do, I'll eat them. So it's fine.
and Robinson kind of just like turns to this giant zombified carabao horned man and says, "Koya, we have to escape. We have to get out of here. What the heck are we doing here?"
You literally saved our lives. What do you mean we have to get out of here?
I know, but look, if he can eat the Sigbin, he can eat us. And he just like slithers in and tries to find a really safe spot at the nape of your neck.
He can't eat you. You're not made out of solid flesh.
Right, okay. Right. Oh, I can eat him. He suddenly feels a little bit more. He loosens up a little bit, yeah, at the thought of like taking a bite out of Kadar.
Adir can feel Robinson just kind of like peel away a little bit, and he just goes, "Don't."
Oh, all right. Okay. He goes back up onto that spot in the nape of your neck.
Back up on your intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, but they're so fun.
Hiraya holds onto the words that Kadar just said, that they wouldn't cross the water. What do you mean? What's up with that water?
Hold on.
Kadar turns around and he's been like mashing together some herbs, and he says,
Bring the water over here and just wash out this wound, please. Please.
Alright, and Hiraya brings over the bunga and pours some water.
Kadar pushes in this herbal concoction into the wound, and then kind of wipes it again, asks you to pour some water so it cleanses through, and looks at you, dog, and says,
all right, burn it, please.
Sure. And then a little too excited, dog lifts up the harpoon, heated edge, and presses it against the wound.
Athir is the one that flinches when he sees the spear go into the wound.
It kind of cauterizes the wound, quickly washes it again, puts that herbal mash on top. And throughout this whole time, Batara isn't moving. No reaction, nothing. All that you can feel, Athir, is very, very shallow breathing.
Kadar says, cool, all right, that's done. I think he'll live. He needs his...
He opens up Batara's eyes.
He doesn't have his soul. He needs his soul to heal, but other than that, his body's fine. So,
I'm sorry. His soul? What do you mean his soul is not here?
Kadar just picks him up like a puppet and opens his eyes.
There's no soul. His pupils they're not white, they're gone.
He smells him,
Yeah, there's no breath. There's nothing.
puts him back down.
That explains a lot.
But his body's fine.
He looks at all the bruises and the giant cauterized wound on the side.
It'll be fine. But yeah, if you want him back, there's a chance, actually. Anyways, there's lots to maybe talk about. Sorry, I thought Isa would have hit me by now. Welcome to my home. Please make yourself comfortable. I have water and food.
He goes through this routine as if it was trained into him to have these manners.
Like he gets guests often.
Yeah, he was being taught that somebody was waiting at the door to see if he does the things that he should be doing. He goes through this routine. As
please make yourself at home.
And he starts to pour out some water into these makeshift bowls.
You have questions, I'm sure. I'm happy to answer them now. Or we can eat and sleep, whatever you need. Just need to get back into something solid, some sort of semblance of stability. Oh, your question. Winged one.
The water.
Yeah, I took an enting and I stuffed it into a river. That was where a spout of water that was coming out of this here cave. So I made protective water. I think. I don't know how it works. That's just what I've been told to do in these kind of situations, to reinforce a stronghold with some sort of talismanic water or something.
So the enting is just hanging up by a spout, and that's what's keeping us safe right now?
Yeah, cool, right?
Cool.
he's very pleased with himself.
Yeah. I thought it was very awesome.
Do you have any other contingency plan if that doesn't work?
He flexes.
I'm the contingency plan.
No reaction. He's like, all right, I guess it's fine.
Yeah, okay, you made some fancy spirit water,
Yeah.
but can you answer, how are you still alive?
Yeah.
We were completely devastated when we arrived in that first excursion to the island, and I thought everybody had died.
I saw you get swarmed.
What are you doing here?
I did die, I think. But then I woke up. I don't know. It's weird. Apparently, I don't know, my first time dying, so I don't really have too much experience in it. But apparently, what Ata-Isa was saying was sometimes you would find yourself in a really dark river heading towards a place of contemplation and peace before moving on. And that didn't happen. There was no. I was in dark water, that's for sure. But like it was swirling, and yeah, it was like a whirlpool, vortex. And I woke up. I don't know what to tell you. But I did look at when I looked at my body. I was like, "This ain't my body." I tried to eat like so much meat. I know fish is a really good protein, but damn, I could never get to this kind of body size.
He's like admiring his stitched together, zombified body.
Ethier looks to Robinson. Do you know of this vortex, whirlpool, darkness?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to back home. So when mortals die, they enter the Black River to move towards the gates of the afterlife, the next phase, and it's a chance to let go of everything, to be empty and to move on. That's the realm of Maguayan, the goddess of transition in the afterlife. But in the case of the Blue Maw, it doesn't let souls go. And they choose to stay, but it doesn't let them go. I wonder if that's happening here too.
Well, where would they go if they're not leaving?
And that the spirits don't leave this island. And he looks at Batara as he says that.
Dog steps in and turns to Kadar. Kadar, you mentioned that we'd be able to help Batara. What is it that we need to do to get his soul back in his body?
Get his soul back in his body. Find his soul, put it back in his body. I don't know. I'm not a Bailan. That's my guess. Umalagads are strange though. Like his soul doesn't look like his body though. So I wish you luck.
His soul doesn't look like his body. His soul doesn't look like his body. Hiraya is kind of a pop culture reference. It's like that meme of that guy who's got the conspiracy theory. His one hand above and the other hand pointing to the board. He's like, his soul does not look like his body. Locking eyes intensely with Ethier. His soul doesn't look like his body. Do you know what this means?
Dog just takes a bowl and scoops up some of the sinigang and just kind of like slinks back. Let them cook. Hiraya's on to something, let them cook. I'm just going to back up.
Is Ethier familiar at all with like Umalagad lore? Is it common enough knowledge?
I'm sure there were at least a few Umalagad in the Blue Maw's realm, but it would have been hard to tell because their soul doesn't look like their body. Unfortunately, so I don't know how helpful that is with you. I think there is this more general folklore or superstition around Umalagad. Not very much is known by common folk, but that's one of the rumors that they weren't crocodile people when they died. They were mortals that you see around you. So that could make sense if you believe those tales.
So, but he was someone else before. If the legends and stories are true, maybe that's why he doesn't look His soul doesn't look like his body.
Kadar says,
Exactly. Man, you're his unit. Like, you must know his stories, right? Like I haven't seen Umalagad with these gold scars before. You never asked him about his scars.
Just crickets. Just crickets. We're like, oh no, none of us know anything about Batara aside from the fact that he cooks well.
yeah.
We're terrible friends.
Hiraya, you also, as you're like at your board, like trying to piece these things together, you do think back to just moments ago you were outside feeling out the lay of the land, and there was a point on the island that was uniquely powerful. It could be related to this vortex that Kadar is talking about.
And over the table, when we
Yeah.
when we arrived to the island, Hiraya was also the person who saw something go into the forest. Like a little whoop.
Correct. You saw a gold gnome.
My reaction was, as a video game player, it's the gold gnome.
I so badly as a player just want to be like, it's the gold gnome, everybody! It's the golden gnome! But la 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 la.
You absolutely can.
Okay, we're gonna roll that into our story dough. Ready?
Nice.
Now on the table. As Hiraya is kind of in this conspiracy theory mode, somehow their hair got a little messier, and they look like they just pulled an all-nighter thinking in the span of 5 minutes. Listen, his soul does not look like his body. When we landed here, I swear I could have seen... Now you're gonna think I'm crazy for this.
We already do. Go on.
A golden gnome?
I've seen crazier things.
Yeah, the gold gnomes.
Kadar says,
They're merchants, crafts people, also great warriors. So, I get it because of the scars.
In my head, I'm just thinking about, like, as a game, like a video game player, I hear gold character. Hit it so we can get gold out of it.
it's so you can get 10 times experience.
Dog's just eating sinigang.
I'm gonna let them cook.
I don't know. I guess because Aether hasn't really been out much, does gold gnome mean anything to him?
Yeah, they're
Like,
a type of people.
He's familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. You've seen humans, you've seen elves that have plant-like appendages, or gold gnomes, or have these golden, rather than like the black tattoos that you see common amongst the islands. They have gold tattoos instead. You've seen the Carabao tieflings like Kadar, so you're familiar with them. Some of the merchants that you saw on the dock when you first got to Kailahan are gold gnomes.
I mean, it's the only lead we've got, right?
I mean, this whole island is filled with all sorts of leads. When I was standing out there earlier, there was just this overwhelming feeling of power coming from somewhere. Not to mention the giant angry pimple that is this mountain. It was a mountain, right?
Correct.
Yeah, mountain. Okay, you can edit that out. and then on top of that, just this guy gesturing to all of Kadar. Why is this guy the way that he is?
Oh, he flexes as you're.
And why are you so calm about it?
Because I knew Kuya Bong and Ate Isa would send somebody eventually. Even if they didn't think I was alive. I feel like this is kind of why I'm here. Or at least when I woke up, that's what kept me going. Somebody's gonna come because my Kuya and Ate sent them, and I need to do what I can. I'm dead. My life is done. So I'm kind of living free in some ways. But as long as I could help them, I guess it's you five. As long as,
Cable.
Yeah.
Do I recognize him as the guy who gave me the gold as we
Yeah.
ran
Yeah,
off?
absolutely. He was seemingly trying to give you something to bring back to Kailahun.
Do you remember anything before you woke up like this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He looks at Dog, who's deep in a bowl of sinigang. Says,
You said that Kuyabong sent you. Sorry, Raha Humabon. He sent you here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did him and Ate Isa, by Lensa Hisa, did Raha Humabon and by Lensa Hisa explain to you the situation outside of the prying eyes of the council?
No, they pretty much had their eyes on us the entire time we were back.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. That checks out. That checks out. I got stuff to tell you. Maybe get settled in.
Yes, we're going to go into a lore dump. A lore dump. Hiraya starts grabbing a bowl of sinigang too, and crouches over into a deep squat.
You're looking at the sinigang a little curiously because he's never had it before.
Kadar sees you and says,
Oh, yeah, my Zenigong's not as good as the ones in Kailahun, and I have to make do with what's here, locally, but, there's some tamarind in there. I was able to get some fish that didn't have the red veiny things. Not a lot of veggies here, but I found some radish.
Grabs his bowl, tentatively sniffs it, and takes a sip. And he looks, like, quietly, but he's really enjoying the taste.
yeah, it's like sour.
He just holds the bowl a little closer, yeah.
Yeah, it's like super sad. Like it puckers your cheeks how sour it is. Kadar says,
All right. All right. It seems like everyone's settled in. You good over there, Crocodile Man? I'm just kidding. Of course, you're not.
So savage. Just wah.
Yeah, cool. Are you from Kailahun, any of you? Have you been here for at least a few months?
I've lived on the outskirts for a little while, but, I've traveled all over the place.
I'm not from here. And just leaves it, kind of trails off into Hiraya's thoughts.
I'm not from here either.
Maybe I can introduce myself. I am Kadar, the Shield of Kailahun. I'm one of there's the council, there's Raha Humabon, there's by Violence Ahisa, and then there's me. I'm familiar with the ins and outs, handle things militarily once decisions are made. Raha Humabon and by Violence Ahisa are my only family. So, anyways, Kailahun, right, a few months ago, there was some sort of infiltration to the city. We don't know exactly what or how big the force was, but we get some raiders coming in once in a while. We get the odd aswang here and there, but this one was an organized infiltration. The shitty thing is it's so obvious that something is going on, but every time we try to rip up a house where we knew it was a location that they were meeting at, whatever this force was would just slink back into the shadows. Months of this, just trying to root out any lead. The only thing that we were able to get was that whatever was in the city that shouldn't have been there is aswang or aswang related. And we started seeing gruesome animal corpses and then patches of sickening miasma, and there was it was isolated, but there's a growing number of people getting nightmares of themselves hurting others, and eventually people started going missing. The most annoying part of this is that the council Datu are one of the most honorable councils I've ever encountered. They're trustworthy, good people. Until a few months ago. It's weird. They started to... it started kind of benign. there was a move to distribute responsibilities and power away from Raha Humabon so he can focus on his research and get into his scrolls. And since they were trustworthy, like, it made sense. It was like, yeah, cool. Take all the stuff that he doesn't want to do. And then these incidents started occurring, and they just kind of brushed it off, which is weird. Or they did things that obviously didn't help, which is also, like, infuriating. And then we started to investigate in them, and by violence, Isa had found some evidence that they were covering up these cases of missing people. Just when that evidence started to bubble up, there was the Harvest Festival. They needed to focus on that. Energies were redirected, and the court was made to focus on other things. And it was decided that this is important, that I would be assigned to it, but that we shouldn't take away from the most advantageous economical moment in the year to deal with this, or to, like, make it public and make it obvious. So they buried it. As Ate Isa was pissed, and hands were tied. They were onto something. They were doing something big. It feels like there was something to do with the festival, but then the island appeared. This shitty place.
And he looks around.
And then I think the councils thought it was a good way to get rid of me and the people loyal to me and other warriors that could stand in their way. And so they had to call out for these warriors and heroes to investigate this island and launch a counterattack and shit like that. Ate Isa and by violence, Isa and Rahumabon and Datu Kasunod, the Datu of Nada Soloi, were like against it. They were like, no, don't send people there. It's stupid. But they were outvoted, and power had been redistributed. So they were just hands tied. And so we tried to make a plan. So he's looped me into something that her and Humabon were thinking, that I would lead the force, but we wouldn't disembark on the island. We'd just circle around, give it a day or two, go up to Nada Soloi where Datu Kasunod would be waiting. We'd go down the river, and during that time there'd be this power vacuum, this moment of, like, weakness, and our enemies would take the bait and go out into the light, and we'd beat the shit out of them, and they would be saved. And then the storm hit. So that happened. And then I died. And now we're here. And it's frustrating. I realized I didn't have anybody to tell that to, so I just kind of dumped it all on you. But I think that's kind of why I came back, so somebody would know, somebody can help Kuya Bong and Ate Isa, and I can die in peace.
So it sounds as if there was a lot of problems in Kailahon before this island. And Dog turns to both Hiraya and Athir and says, I think if the Datus were covering up missing people and behaving all weird and trying to take power from Humabon behind the scenes, I think the most obvious suspect is Datu Malagar.
Dude, that guy stinked.
He now turns to Kadar. Yeah, Datu Malagar asked us under a veil of secrecy to retrieve some artifact from here on this island that is rumored to be here, some mystical kampilan or treasure of sorts, and he seems to be really interested in being the first one to receive information about this island, as if to gain any sort of advantage. But I mean, me and all of us here, we had a bad feeling about him and wouldn't trust him anyway. But now that you've told us all of this history with the Datus and all the problems of Kailahon, it's starting to somewhat make sense.
Yeah, I know the sword you're talking about. I'm kind of dead, so I don't really sleep. But when I close my eyes, I can see that Campilan, that sword. It's being held by somebody who is covered in fog or mists. And she's sitting on an island or something, and this fog is like rolling out from her presence. And as Kadar is like explaining this, his eyes start to close, and that ability to control those strings of malice and anger that Hiraya, you're able to feel from Kadar, that weakens, and his anger starts to build slowly. The camera cuts to the pot of sinigang as it's starting to boil even more furiously. Kadar starts going, that sword calls to me, and when I look at it, I just want to rip everything and everyone apart. And that's where we'll end today.
Oh no.
Relax, dude. Breathe.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for this two-parter. Hopefully you had a really good time. This is our first big group fight, and seeing some old friends. We're deep in it, folks.
Crazy.
So many feelings right now. I'm really confused. I'm also freaked out, and I really want sinigang.
Thank you again. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.